Hello everyone, welcome back to the studio for this week's episode of Tutorial Tuesday. My name's Kaylee. I paint wet on wet, landscape, oil paintings, and today you're here for episode 55 of Tutorial Tuesday. Last week during our live premiere of Tutorial Tuesday in the live chat, we were talking about what we wanted to see, and I kind of just mentioned, oh, it would be fun to paint an elephant. So today we're going to paint an elephant, but it's going to be an elephant rock. So a little bit different. I just was scrolling online and found this really cool image of a coastal rock that looks like an elephant. So we're going to paint it. If you'd like to paint along with me today, go ahead and grab your paints. The list is going to be in the description below, as well as a few links if you want them. If you don't want them, that's totally fine too. Let's jump up to the canvas. I have my standard 18 by 24 inch canvas up in the easel right now. I've already prepped it with a thin and even coat of liquid white. Now let's get into the scene. I have this actual scene that I found online. So we're gonna go for it. I think I'm gonna start off with a little bit of a gray scene. So I'm gonna mix up on my 1-inch brush, which is not quite clean, but that's okay. Oh, I forgot to put out one of my paints. There we go. Okay, for the sky, gray, phthalo green, and alizarin crimson. Mix it into a nice dark black gray mixture. I like it a little bit more to the crimson side usually. And then we'll just mix white with it until we get a nice light gray. We do have liquid white on the canvas. I want just a touch more phthalo green. There we go. But I just want this to be a really light, kind of a misty sky back here, just almost like you can't really see anything that's happening, it's just all mist. So we'll just start with a light gray. I'm just gonna softly dance this in with some movement. And I'm going to work this down. I'll just see how much paint I have on this brush, I guess. I guess we're doing this all. Let's just get some more paint out. Even it up with our colors. This is a great way to just be aware of how you're using up your paint. Maybe could have just wiped this all out on a rag, but instead we're using it on the rest of the canvas. Now I'm just going to continue to work a little bit of this paint, but I mean you can only go so far, right? So let's wipe this just a touch. And then I'm going to pick up a blending brush. I want to make sure that's nice and clean and dry. On a nice soft scene like this with specific colors, which in this case, nice gray, you don't want to have a blue brush that has just the tiniest bit you know, kind of left over from your last painting or something and have it surprise you. So sometimes when I'm working with some delicate colors like this really, really mild gray, I will check my rag, or I'll check my brush before I get going. So just a little trick. I'm just gonna soften this. I'm kind of trying to hit in some of the areas where it's lighter first, so that I'm not picking up these big mounds of paint if I don't have to. Not right away. It just helps to add a little bit of movement into the sky. Wipe that off. Gonna pick up some liquid white on the brush, and then we can soften that up higher and really make that harsh line just disappear like it never happened. You could soften this as much as you want, or as little as you want. Totally up to you. I'm gonna do something sort of like this. I'm gonna wipe this off. Ooh, one more time. Now, I have a couple hairs for my brush in there, so I'm just gonna get those out. And then I wanna kind of make sure there's no noticeable brush strokes. Just really soften it all the way out. Okay, I'll leave that. Now I've got a nice gray sky, kind of setting the mood for this scene. And now I think let's work in, while we still have this gray, just a tiny little foothill kind of out here. We'll just put them somewhere right about here. We'll just get a little bit of that gray mixture and kind of dance something in and kind of just tapping and pulling down. Very, very subtle, super, almost like it's not there. Then we're going to tap out the bottom. And then we'll lift it straight up, nice and soft. Now, you can take a fan brush. You can take any brush really, but I'm just gonna use a fan brush because it's nice and easy. And I'm gonna just kind of tap in a little bit of mist as a barrier here, sorta. As long as you don't have too much paint on the canvas yet, right? You're using your blending brush properly. You should be able to move and blend a little bit of this around with your fan brush, like I'm doing. Get some nice little swirly kind of cloud effects over here, and I want just a touch, a little idea of that back here. And then we're just gonna soften that back. We can use our blending brush, kind of soften out the base. We just want this all very, very soft today. Then lift. You can give it a little spin if you want. We want the trees to continue going straight up and down, so try not to mess those up too much. Okay, next we're going to work in another ridge line here. Let's get a little bit more of our gray going, just a touch darker now. And I think we'll have, yeah, we'll do this one just right, nice and close in front. Kind of got some grassy and rocky bits. We're going to pull these down. Just like that. Just with a little bit more definition in some of these darks. I wanted to pull some out. There we go. Okay, now I am going to mist this out a little bit. Lift. Okay, I'm still kind of like, I guess, planning through some of this process in my head, so I'm gonna move to a little bit of the water down below, because I can do that. Let's use some phthalo green. I like phthalo green. Ooh, let's add some Prussian blue to that, just a little. Just a little. Yeah. I like that. Nice and dark. Let's have it get a little lighter over here and dark over here. So we get the nice darks. Kind of work them in. That's good stuff. A little bit more Prussian blue. That'll work nice there. Now, a little bit of Prussian blue, lots of phthalo blue, touch of titanium white now. I bet that's about as far. We're gonna have the water come up a little higher on this side, I think. Just kind of, I mean, I want to maybe, paint the photo perfectly, but that's never gonna happen. So we're just kind of using it as inspiration. And I thought it was kind of fun because I said that an elephant would be kind of fun, and then stumbled upon this rock that looks so perfect like an elephant. So I had to do it. I couldn't resist. I hope you all don't mind. And I hope it doesn't suck, because, I haven't painted it yet. I tried to draw it a couple times. That was interesting. It didn't really work the way I thought it would, but you know, whatever. We're trying. Getting the dark in. I want to, let's just plan, like kind of where the elephant rock is kind of coming into the water. It's going to be really, really dark. And we're just going to kind of get this, because we want it to look down just a touch. Maybe. We'll see how that goes. And then more of this. Just kind of work some more. I really want it to be kind of moody. We can always wipe off some paint if we put too much on that we don't like. Let's do just kind of get our idea here of some of our water motions. Nice and flat over here. Then we're gonna have a little bit of motion just kind of build in a few of these little details, just kind of establishing the kind of movement of these rocks and how they affect the water out here. Nice and dark. All right. Now. Let's just soften a little bit of this top here and kind of blend this a little. Do you ever just blend an area forever because you don't know what you're going to do next? Okay, really though. Now, I guess maybe it might help if I put up a little bit of the version of where I think plan out our little elephant rock. There's gonna be some more rocks over here. Maybe we could do those first. Great. Let's make a gray, and then I'm gonna thin it down. Because I want to pick out a little bit of this elephant, just a tiny bit. Or the rock. It's a rock. It's a rock. Okay. So far, so okay. Something. This kind of comes up. Then there's like an ear looking rock. Okay, let's try this. We're going to bring this down. This. We're drawing a line down to here. Because that makes the most sense to me. And then we have the other like kind of rock feature that looks like the other side of the eye, which is just crazy that it actually like resembles in some sense an elephant. I'm just like baffled, man. Baffled. Okay, this. And this is kind of going to be and this is going to be nice and dark in here. Like an eye. This seems a little bit low. Let's bring this up like that. That's a little bit more. Then this is all going to kind of and we need we've got kind of a little yeah, we'll see. Or make that all rock. That'll be nice and dark. Now what we need is a little bit of mist up here. So just kind of finish out this back there. There's kind of just like a little, you know, more rocky areas back here. Some cliffs. Oop, we need to soften those together a little bit better. Let's see if we have too much paint on this. Soften this out. Doesn't matter about our little sketch here. Just trying to give a little idea. Lift. I think a little bit more. Just a touch of mist. Let's do that. Right over here, just like we did. And it just kind of softens away with that background gray there. Do a little bit. Just maybe a little one up here, kind of right over the top. And I think I want another one just like that right here. Just kind of brings it together there. Now, right over here, we're gonna do some rocks. Palette knife time. Lizard crimson, phthalo green. Little Prussian blue. Van Dyke brown. I'm going to grab some titanium white and marble that. I want it I guess this will work. Let's use it. Okay. Make up your mind today, Kaylee. We're doing rocks. These rocks are kind of coming down and meeting into the water right around in this area. So I wanted them to be nice and misty. So let's get some more titanium white there. Just kind of marbling those colors together. And they are what's coming out of this kind of rock, or these trees up here. So they're connecting down in. We're just going to start, we'll just kind of pick a few spots here. We're going to start putting this paint on the canvas. little bit darker as we get closer to the bottom, but we do want to scrape a good amount of this paint. We don't want it a lot on here. Just press it into the canvas. I keep standing in front of the camera. I don't know why I started doing that so much recently. Sorry guys. Such a jerk. Okay. Keep scraping that paint down. Maybe we can give a few little bits of wiggles. Really press this down. It just helps to get that to mix, and it's nice and smooth when you blend it like this with the palette knife. So I'm going to do that down here at the bottom, just a little bit. Wipe that off. Now, up at the top, same thing. Just swirl this around, and we're going to push this mountain into the cloud, kind of. We're just going to make them meet. Wipe off your excess paint, 'cause there's still some up here. Doesn't work as well if you have too much paint. Now we'll go into this and just soften this now, working up. Maybe bring some of that dark up there. Wipe that off. Okay, now we're just going to mist this area. I did get a good little laugh when I was kind of choosing this image, so I hope you all enjoy it. I hope this suffering isn't too bad. I mean, I like to challenge myself, you know, so you can't always just paint things that are going to be like easy, but we can all have fun kind of doing it together. So anyway, here we are. We're just trying this out. I'm kind of blending up, softening all this mistiness that we just made happen. And what I'm going to do next is start to texture the rock a little bit by adding in I want to do some kind of greens and browns, and let's start with a really mute green. Let's do Indian yellow and yellow ochre with our brown, or our main base mix. Words. Grab a little roll of that. Let's actually marble it just a touch with our dark. I think that would look good. We're going to cut off a roll of that and see what this looks like. Maybe a little bit lighter marble, some of that. Maybe right out here we'll do a little bit. And let's do a little bit more dark in here, where we're going to have some more rocky bits. And since we're going to have our other rock here, I want to have something nice and strong for this to stand out against. And we're just going to kind of work this up. Maybe we'll add a little touch of this out over here. You want it nice and dark at the base, but not too dark as this is further away. Dark enough that it stands out. All right, now let's do a little bit more. Just gonna pick up that main mountain color, put in a tiny bit of titanium white to it, and we'll just get some rocky bits happening over here. And kind of this shadow area over here. Now I'm going to pick out a couple more. We'll just use some yellows and some greens. And maybe there's some like lichen stuff growing on these rocks. Maybe a little red. Maybe a little over here. Now let's go with our palette knife. We're just going to scrape off in a few areas the excess paint. And down here, we'll just push it down into the canvas like that. Now we'll take the fan brush that we were using with the titanium white, just go into some more titanium white. And we're going to put in some mistiness. You just have to make sure that you pull off some of your paint so that you can keep the colors behind here, but you just pull off the excess paint and scrape it off. And then this will all work. It's super fun, huh? We'll just kind of make that disappear right behind our elephant that's going to be right up there. And then we're going to soften these back, bring them together. Now we can do just a touch more. And now that we know what's going to be kind of exposed here, and we'll pick out a few more specifics. Let's get like a nice shadow color, some blue and titanium white, and some of our mountain mixture, rock mixture that we were using. And we'll just kind of put in a little bit of our reflective blues in here. Back to our little grassy areas. We can get a little bit more in to some of those. think right back here we need a touch more, kind of our shadows coming in. Now we'll pull down this color just a little bit, kind of pick out where that runs, soften it. Now I want to use this brush. I really want this to be nice and bright over here. So I'm going to add in just a touch of phthalo green and titanium white. Just kind of wiggle that through these backwaters over here. Kind of like adding some little tiny bits of foamy interests. Maybe just kind of soften that out for now. Okay, back here leading into our elephant head, we have a big kind of rock there, but you know what I think we should do is just block this all in. Let's do it up. I've been afraid to do it, but we're doing it. Get all of the crimson and phthalo green, mix it together, make it nice and dark, a touch of blue, some Van Dyke brown. Nice, dark, bold color. No titanium white in this one. Pick it up and flip it over, mix this so good. We don't need this one to be marbled, just dark. Okay. The moment we can always soften out some of this area again, but we're going to come in and put in this elephant something like this. Then something like this. Dark, and we want dark, now, there's going to be kind of a little grassy knoll over here, but we'll just kind of do this. See if we can get some of that shaping to happen, and then I'm just going to fill the rest of this in, I guess. Let's see. Yep, that. Let's do. There's more land right here too. Kind of comes behind, but we'll probably miss some of that out. Just winging it, I guess. Don't really know. I want this to be nice and dark here. Using my 1-inch brush just to kind of maybe get some of this paint to do some nice little gradients here. Soften all of this around the eye here. All right, let's try just a touch more. Painting with some dark here. Little bit extra dark. Just build up the texture until we get it to be where we want it here with all of our darks. Phthalo green, alizarin crimson, kind of want equal parts, but just a touch more to the crimson side is usually my preference. I'm gonna add a little bit of Prussian blue and Van Dyke brown. Little more crimson. Now, I'm gonna take this color and we have our dark working in. Let's work on kind of like a mid tone. I want it to be like very rocky looking, so we're just gonna maybe work in stages to accomplish this all. A little bit of Van Dyke brown to that color, marble it. Let's just see if we can get a little bit of our mid-tones kind of accomplished here. And then we're going to come back and do more later. Okay, just working in some stages here, kind of getting some of the shapes happening for us here for our little elephant rock formation. Okay, now let's do some more, just get our darks down. I don't want it to be a little swoopy here, just a touch. Kind of like it comes back out just this way. Right there. Now let's do, we need a little dark here. And then underneath, we've got this kind of like an ear feature, right? That's kind of shaping what looks like an ear. And all this dark down here. So we're going to put in all the dark. Kind of goes like that. Touch more dark to just kind of get that little outline going here. Just getting some texture in here. It's just kind of a deep hole in the rock there, which is so cool. Let's bring some of this up, some more dark up into this area. We're going to come in and put in some midtones and highlights and grasses and stuff here because there's a lot of lichen and grasses growing on here, but I just really want to get some of these dark lines in, and then they're going to pick up on our highlights in different ways when we come back over. So we're just trying to get kind of the shape and texture going here so that we have something to work with on the underneath. I want to have a nice dark line, and then our line kind of opens. Nice dark area there. And the rock kind of just falls this way, you know, and it just, oh, it's going to be so cool. Let's get some of this mid color here. We're just kind of building up the texture now. We want to have this all covered with our colors. We're not doing too much on the highlights yet at all. Just shaping our little elephant rock. And I want to come right out onto this front area, and we're going to build some of this up just a little bit here. We can just smooth that all over with the knife. It's really nice. But then we have these colors moving in one direction, but the rock is still kind of moving around in these other directions. So we can come over the top and get some of that in. We're also going to have a section down at the bottom that's kind of a little bit more on the red tones. So I'm going to mix up some of that and just see if I can put a little bit more of that in there. I imagine it has something to do with the minerals on the rock and the water lines, sort of here. There we go. Get a little bit of red into that. Just kind of build up a little variety on that, and then you can smooth it. Bit more dark in here. Okay. I'm gonna just add a little bit of texture onto this. Something like that. Kind of looked like you had a little knob. This we're gonna keep a nice dark kind of spot here. And then let's bring in some browns now to some of this top area. Van Dyke brown, dark sienna, and bright red. Let's grab a little bit of yellow ochre too. Just like marble that around on your palette knife a little. And we'll just come right over the top. I'm gonna get a touch more of that mixture I made. Maybe some more bright red, yellow ochre, Van Dyke brown, dark sienna. And let's do a little bit of titanium white now. Got a little bit of that brown and yellow up there. Let's grab some Indian yellow and yellow ochre, titanium white. Cut off a little roll of that. And we're gonna bounce this around up here. As the lichen is just growing around on the rocks. And we just worked so hard making all of these fun little textures for us to work with here. Let's do a little bit of this, and we're gonna grab a touch of blue. Let's make this a little more green. We can grab some phthalo green as well. That's nice. A little bit more titanium white. I want this to be getting brighter now. We're gonna have a few pops of light coming in, kind of making some shapes. Now let's do back here. Let's just build this as like the grass that it looks like. I really like that little bit of dark. It's just gonna be kind of a distant, soft, grassy meadow. So we'll just kind of blend this. And then let's get some yellows and titanium white. Just mix that up on the brush. A little bit more green, phthalo green. Now let's get a little bit of this up here. And I want that, it's not quite the right color. Little Prussian blue maybe, we'll try that. Let's just work with that for a minute. Back to our yellows. Let's get a little bit of thinner. We'll just work that all the way down. And then I think we'll get some liquid white. Just a touch of that. That was too much. Indian yellow and yellow ochre. Little meadow kind of up here. Just want to shape it a little bit, you know? There we go. Some different lines, different areas of rock. I'm just going to soften some of that back. Now, let's use those same colors that we just mixed. Maybe we'll put it on the fan brush and we'll put in a little of these. Because remember, it's rock. So we're going to put some grasses up in here. A little bit of that. Let's do a little Indian yellow, liquid white. Right out here, more liquid white. Indian yellow, yellow ochre. Now I'm gonna pick up a sable brush and just soften us a little bit, just a tiny bit on the back bottom side of some of those grasses. Just set them right down in. And then we'll take a little bit of our titanium white and our mountain rock mixture, a little blue. And we want a really nice marbled color here. So we get some fresh titanium white, touch of Van Dyke brown, and some of our color. Pull it out nice and flat. And we're going to use that there. And let's get this kind of shape here. I like that. I'm going to use a little bit of this green. Yellow. Yellow, white. And I really want some of this color also, I think, right here. Now, let's see where we are. We've got a little shadow still. Just kind of trying to keep with these directions of some of these angles that we've already created here. A little bit darker of a shadow color here. Then we want a little, we'll try this. Here's my dark. Oh, let's do that first. A little bit more dark down here. And then we're gonna have mix this here. A little more dark in here. Definitely more dark over here. Okay, now we've got this back side. This is going to be kind of covered in some grass, but we want it to still stand out. So let's really push that dark line through. Then when we come and put some grass over that, it'll stand out against this other bit there. Put this in here. And then we're going to have this curl and down. Okay, let's see how this goes. Nice, confident rolls. There. Okay. We're doing okay here. Let's mix out a little bit more of this kind of shadowy color. And we're going to bring it just a little further in. Little bit. Let's try and define this like that. And we'll come out here. Maybe we can throw in a couple areas up here. And a little pops up in here, just a couple. Okay, now I want to bring in a couple lines here just to give a tiny bit more shape to this eye feature. There we go. This still working its way down. And then we're going to kind of bring more of these. We're going to put a tiny bit here. There. Now, let's move in some of our grasses over here. Maybe just a touch of our browns. Starting in this lichen area. Maybe we'll have just a few touches of that. Ooh, and I really want to do this now. A little bit of the yellows. Hey, this might be actually turning out okay, huh? I was pretty worried. You get like kind of, I don't know, I've been getting kind of nervous sometimes because I don't want to like do a bad painting, I guess. But yeah, anyway, I would love to hear what you all think about my version of an elephant today. I do still want to paint a live picture or like a live painting of an elephant. I do plan to do that, but this totally just sparked my eye and I couldn't stop thinking about it, so we're painting it. Yay! I want just like a touch of this yellow up here. There we go. Now, let's see, kind of the nose feature, a little bit further here, a little bit bigger, then it can come down just a touch lower. That looks a little better. And then down below, let's grab some of our dark sienna, bright red, and this other reddish color we created with the Indian yellow and yellow ochre. Now I want to come down here and just put down a touch of this. Across, bring that color across, and then we're going to do the same. All right, more grass. Just a touch of liquid white now. little more liquid white. A little bit of it here. Okay, now I'm going to take some of this shadow color that we were using, the kind of color on this one, and just bring some of it over. Didn't quite work, but that's okay. Yeah, let's do a little bit of this movement here. And let's just continue getting our rock colors into this wall. Over here they don't, I mean they matter, but not quite as much. Okay, let's put some of this dark color in our water down below. And I'm going to take some phthalo green and just scrape in a little more dark over here. Let's do some dark grasses, medium of this lichen color here. I think just a few more over here. Man, I'm all over the place today. I hope y'all are having fun watching me just kind of figure this out as we go, because that's what's happening today. I'm really not a fan of this section right here. Let's use the back of the knife to get some texture on that. There we go. More white. Try and just get a little bit more movement with these, shape-wise, you know. And that kind of, there we go. It's helping. And we're still gonna need some highlight down this. Picking up on some higher areas here maybe now. Little dark. Let's do a little yellow ochre into this out here. Little brown. And all the gray. We're still just going to smooth sections of this out to kind of help us with the shaping. Just adding in a little bit of brown in here. I think some of our reds. And just because I'm going to grab some titanium white, go into my blues. Let's grab some phthalo green as well, and some liquid white, medium thickness. And cut off a little of that. I'm going to get some paint on both sides today and scrape in a water line up here. It's kind of a splashy shore today. Gonna work some of this in. Out that way. Now this guy, let's clean up the bottom, make it look a little nicer. Okay, now I want to add just a touch of our shadow color out here. I'm going to make this rock bounce a little more. I think it looks better this way. Pull out a little from in here. Some browns. Some gold. I'm going to work in a little bit of these golds over here that we were using. Yeah, like that. Okay. Titanium white. Now I'm kind of picking out some of our boldest highlights, if you will. Let's see if I can pick out a few of those across this to really make a few sections pop. And let's do a little gold, a little bit red in, more red in there. Let's grab some titanium white. We're going to go in right back into the shadow mixture that we've been using, and it's the lightest one yet, nice and bright. And we're going to pick out this kind of eye feature here, and there. Now, some darker. Let's just kind of fill this in. Dark. Let's do a little bit more over here. little bit there. Okay. Okay, let's do some water lines. Looks like I hit my finger on this and I need to fix it. Fix that there. And then down over here, we're just going to kind of make some good waves over here, but I want to just add a little bit of texture on these. And then we're gonna have some waves. Let's clean off a fan brush. And then we're gonna get some titanium white. I don't want to get I don't want to get too much green on this right now. Titanium white. Then we're going to go into some of our grays and blues. We can get some of our water color over here. And we're going to have some waves that are coming up on these rocks. So to make that happen, we'll make it a little bit thinner so that it'll stick. And we're going to start, let's just start back here and just push up with the fan brush, and we're just pushing up some waves. And then we'll basically pull them. Pull them straight out. from the bottom. A little bit more. Then maybe we'll do something like this. Just titanium white. We're kind of making a gray. And then we've got a swirl. It's just pulling that right out. Then we'll get some more liquid white so we can get like a medium texture over here. We'll get some blue and titanium white, phthalo green. A good fun variety of blues and white. Just kind of lighten this up here. Throw out that wave as it's hitting this rock. Have kind of a chunk in here that we just don't need. Then we can throw in some extra water lines. We can throw in some more waves. Pull these ones round. Now, we're going to kind of open up the bristles of the brush a little and work in some swirls and some more waves and swishes where the water is just kind of working around over here. We don't want to cover all of this up, but we do want to add in some fun water swooshes and stuff, because it's all going to be out there. Maybe we have some more waves. Just push them right out of the fan brush. They just come right out. Just that easy. A little bit of liquid white goes a long way for sure. Maybe we'll get some more liquid white and go into our blue here. A little bit more liquid white. Nice and thin. Now we're going to take some of this wave and throw it up here. A little bit of that. Maybe out here, just kind of top it with a little bit of that brighter color, and then we can get some like it's just running down the rock as it's splashed up. Few extra splashes. Maybe out here. Paint, thin it down with the white. And then we just flick on the water splashes there. It's so fun and so gratifying. And it looks so real. It has to be really thin. I'm getting different colors, different blue and green. Just a little special. Nice and splashy. Have a few where the water is dripping down and you can see it from it splashing all the way up here. Maybe let's do a few more. Maybe pull some of these around. Maybe sloshing around over there. Maybe just a few kind of squiggles out there, and maybe it just kind of tapers around over here, something like that. Just gonna clean up a touch over here. A little bit. Yeah, I like it. Definitely I mean, I knew it was going to be hard, but it was a little harder than I thought it was going to be. But I think I'm going to go ahead and sign this. Just using some bright red on my script liner with my brush wash, which I've said it before, I'll say it again, I never use paint thinner. I've been painting for 4 years. I taught myself how to paint, and I started using paint thinner for like a week, and it was really, 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 really gross, and I needed a different option. So I started trying out some natural options, and I settled on this. It is vegetable oil, dish soap, and water. And yes, I use it all the time to clean all my brushes, and it doesn't smell bad. So give it a try. Hopefully I'll remember to link the video. If not, I will try at some point. But you go look at my channel, Natural Brush Wash, a while back, and you'll find it. But it's really easy to make. You can buy it at the grocery store, and you can paint more comfortably without the smell of all of the gross stuff. Okay. Freeze frame. That's funny. Okay. That was a whole lot of fun for me to paint this scene. Quite a few challenges. I had to take a couple short breaks just to kind of rest my mind and jump back into it, not get too stressed out. So, I mean, we have to remember why we started painting in the first place, just to have fun and to enjoy the process. So today, I really did enjoy the process. I really struggled through it, but it was a lot of fun and pretty rewarding. It looks pretty cool. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this painting. I would love to hear where you're watching this video from. As well, if you were inspired by this painting, please send me an email, Kaylee@KayleeRakowski.com. We're here every Tuesday at 5 o'clock for a live premiere and live chat, where this video will be aired for the very first time online Tuesdays at 5 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, PM. So come hang out with us and chat it up in the live chat. And if you missed the live chat, the live replay should be in the comment section or on the video later on. So you'll still be able to catch what we were chatting about if you were really inclined. Okay, that is all for me today in the studio. My name is Kaylee. I paint wet on wet landscape oil paintings. I'm a self-taught artist, have been painting for just over 4 years, and I enjoyed it so much I thought I would start showing you all, and you welcomed me with arms wide open. So thank you all so much for being a part of my painting journey, and I really look forward to seeing you all every Tuesday in our live chat. So we'll see you next week. Smile and be happy, friends.